First things first, I reported on this yesterday, but for those of you guys that have not been familiar with it, Drake's mansion got shot up and a security guard got injured as a result of it. Take a look.
An investigation is underway after a security guard was shot outside rapper Drake's Canadian home. It comes just days after his very public feud with rapper Kendrick Lamar. But at this point, police say it's unclear if the shooting had anything to do with their beef. Victor Kendo has the latest.
The investigation into the shooting at music superstar Drake's home that left a security guard wounded. Authorities saying the hip-hop artist is cooperating.
Bad things, it's a lot of bad things that they wishing.
They got to stop playing that. We don't like that.
Just outside the gates of the rapper's mansion.
Police were called to a
no copyright. We're not doing that.
Shooting at the residence behind me here. When officers arrived, they located a male who was suffering from an apparent gunshot wound.
That security guard now hospitalized with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The suspects are still at large. No word on whether Drake was present at the time. This comes on the heels of the Grammy winner's public feud with former collaborator turned foe Kendrick Lamar.
Girl, I'm Kendrick Lamar.
Why do they do that? Why do they play the music? Why don't they just give the story?
2 weeks, throwing jabs at one another about their families and lifestyles.
You gotta learn to fact check things and be less impatient. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration.
Kendrick's latest, Not Like Us.
All right, so in a general sense, we don't need a whole breakdown because everybody is pretty much familiar with what's going on out here in these streets. But basically what's happening is a security guard got injured as a result of a apparent, quote unquote, drive-by shooting. And I think that this is the thing that we wanted to avoid, and the thing that I said that J. Cole was actually in the right about. When J. Cole bowed out, and this is why you got to listen to your instincts as an individual and not pay attention to what everybody else is saying. When J. Cole bowed out, everybody was killing him as a result of it. They was talking junk and all of that. And I said to myself, no, you know what? I think J. Cole might be onto something. I think that J. Cole absolutely might be onto something. Maybe he's writing this thing. And everybody was saying, oh, no, it's just bars, it's just rap. This don't happen with any other genre. The only genre that this happens is rap and hip-hop music, where at some point, and I don't care about the details, I don't care if it's The Weeknd. If it's The Weeknd, then that's even worse because The Weeknd is a singer. And this happens, and, you know, I'm just over it, bro. I'm over it. Whenever I even start to get into and I start to enjoy the mental jousting and the music and the back and forth and all of that, something always happens stupid where it makes it not even worth it to even entertain this nonsense and why it is that we try to stay out of this in the first place. And it's just dumb. In my personal opinion, it's dumb. It's dumb that we continuing to have these conversations about the fact that there is no peace. There will never just be entertainment, and it always spills over into the streets. And we never say, oh, it's a bad thing as long as it don't happen to the biggest entertainers. But what about the security guard that got shot up? Stupid. So I hate street beef. I hate this immature garbage. I hate this nonsense. And yeah, that's what happened with Drake. In addition to that, remember the carjacker that I was telling y'all about as far as the Amazon Flex driver that wound up shooting the carjacker? Well, they did a little bit of deep digging and deep diving, and I said that I was going to stay up to date on this with you guys. But apparently that carjacker was a 17-year-old boy. Check it out.
Who is the teen that tried to carjack an Amazon driver? That decision turned out to be a deadly one. 19 News did some digging into his past. First at 4, Harry Boomer here live with what he uncovered. Harry.
Well, you know, guys, carjackings are often crimes of opportunity. People see a chance to take a vehicle and they go for it. Sadly, that happened here, and it ended up being fatal.
Don't try to take stuff, especially around here. You never know who has a gun.
The driver of this Amazon vehicle did, and according to Cleveland police, it appears he used it to protect himself and to stop a potential carjacking. 17-year-old Alquin Wells died from the shots fired by the Amazon driver. CPD also says that during the incident, Wells drove away in the Amazon delivery vehicle and crashed it a short time later. He died on scene. We did some digging, and according to the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, Alquin Wells had no delinquencies. He had no traffic violations or unruly conduct. No record at all. The deadly shooting happened around 4.
He had just started becoming a criminal. He was in his criminal infancy. And let's also be clear, because the first time that you get dealt with or you get caught may not necessarily be the first time that you actually committed a crime. We got to be able to separate, and the fact that you don't have any criminal record does not necessarily mean that you have not been participating in criminal activity. This is the first time that you got caught up in some stuff and it wound up being fatal.
Saturday afternoon at the roundabout at West 48th and Franklin. It's a busy intersection traffic-wise where people ride their bikes and push their babies in strollers and go for walks seemingly without fear.
The driver apparently had a gun. We don't know if it was licensed or not, and that person felt the need to kill,
to defend themselves,
for carjacking. That's not a capital offense.
It's so random. It's so unlikely in this.
Which is why it's going to happen in your environment.
The deceased person could be somebody that we see walking down the street every day. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess the Amazon driver did whatever was necessary to protect him or herself, but it's a stunningly sad situation all the way around.
I think it was a beautiful situation.
Amazon Flex driver, one who uses their own vehicle to deliver packages, has not been identified. Cleveland police are still investigating. Here in Ohio City at West 48th and Franklin, I'm Harry Boomer, 19 News.
So basically a 17-year-old, as usual, decided that they wanted to go in and take somebody else's stuff, that they wanted to take a gun and threaten somebody's life and say, oh, okay, either come up out of your vehicle that you're using to do work, and we're going to make sure that we ruin your life and ruin your opportunities and take from you, even though you're a law-abiding citizen. And then finally, somebody was able to stand up for themselves and say, nah, fam, I feel like my life is in danger. We're going to go ahead and end this a whole nother way than you thought that it was going to go. And good for them. Let me give them a round of applause. Only problem with this situation is the issue of having to relive the problem in your head that you had to take somebody's life in the first place. But I do believe in people's right to be able to defend themselves. And, we got to stop being soft on crime. We absolutely have to stop being soft on crime. Last but not least, I seen this story the other day, but I'm going to bring it to you guys. Basically, a woman kicked her man out. This is what the Sun is saying. The woman kicked her man out. The man wound up coming back and killing the woman. Check it out.
Well, meantime, a mother shot to death in her car in the middle of the day in Alief. And only on 13, detectives now say they believe the mom's ex-boyfriend is involved. The family spoke to our Brooke Taylor today, and she has the latest.
I spoke to the victim's son, who tells me he recently found out his mom kicked out her boyfriend just days before she was found shot in her car. Daniel Gonzalez says the last time he saw his mother alive was Saturday.
I walked her to her car from my apartment, give her another hug and kiss, and we talked about what we were gonna do the next day, Sunday, and we were gonna meet up at her apartment. She got in her car, and that was basically the last time I saw her and touched her.
But on Sunday, Houston police say Rosenda Garcia was found shot to death inside her car. A man walked up to her firing several shots and fled in a white Jeep Renegade.
My mom, a very kind and innocent person that she is and has always been her entire life.
Police confirm with ABC 13 they believe the ex-boyfriend is involved. Because he hasn't been charged, we aren't naming him. Gonzalez says he won't answer his calls and hasn't been to work. And last year, he says his mom's boyfriend called the police on himself.
He was having one of his emotional episodes, and he, I guess, didn't know how to react. He pulled out a gun, didn't necessarily threaten and point it at my mom in her apartment, but he was just holding the hand, his gun and looking at it and saying, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I may do something crazy. And how it wrapped up basically is the officer said, I think what you need right now is mental help.
Police tell me detectives are now looking to speak with the ex-boyfriend. But Gonzalez says that may be difficult. He and his family have been active on social media, and he says several people have reached out saying his mom's ex is in Mexico.
I'm aware that there's a process they have to follow, authorities, but Obviously, I want resolution as fast as possible. As you know, her one and only son, I want him caught and charged, and I want him to pay for what he did.
Nah, we can handle this like gentlemen. We're going to handle this a little bit different. We ain't even got to worry about it. We already know what happened. We already know what happened. We don't have to say allegedly. We don't have to say suspects. These women is aligning themselves and getting into relationships with dudes that's super emotional. They picking the wrong guy. They got him staying with him. And now the dude then fled to Mexico, and he in Mexico. He in Mexico. He going to come back and he going to rebrand himself as an illegal immigrant seeking asylum. He going to go over into Montana. He's going to get a job as a caretaker and a worker. And you guys will never know. And he's going to change his name to Jesus. He's going to change his name to Jesus. Yeah, Mexican from Venezuela by way of Africa, coming in undocumented, and we don't have to worry about it because he's going to change his name to Jesus. Hector Jesus with twin turbos. And he's running NAS. And he's working in Montana as a caretaker, and we ain't got to worry about it no more. So, yep, it's bad out here in these streets. And he fled to Mexico, and nobody knows what's going on, but it's unfortunate. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your Quick Hits.